There was a time when superhero games were not a big deal, with some being bad. Then Rocksteady came and changed everything. Comments like this weren't just handed to Rocksteady Studios. They were earned, with vision, passion, and 3 games that not only set the standard, but influenced action games for more than a decade. The Batman Arkham trilogy, but with just one title, they burned a decade of goodwill to the ground. From untouchable
You're clearly the licensed game kings at this point. Is that a trend you want to keep going?
to causing the loss of $200 million. This is the story of how Rocksteady went from the top of the industry to releasing one of the biggest disasters in modern gaming history.
You do realize the entire studio is decorated with Batman stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, my entire house is decorated with Batman stuff as well.
You still like Batman after all this time?
Oh yeah, definitely, massively. I don't know, he's such a great character that, you know, I still love him. I still get a buzz out of seeing him and playing the games, and as a character I still get a real buzz out of seeing what other people do with the franchise and films, and you know, I'm the first person in the queue to see that stuff, so.
Rocksteady Studios began as a small London-based team in 2004, founded by Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker. Their debut title, Urban Chaos: Riot Response, was a riot control FPS that flew under the radar for many, quietly earning a cult following years later. But in December 2006, everything changed. Eidos Interactive, publisher of Urban Chaos, had just secured the rights from Warner Bros. And DC Comics to make a Batman game. At the time, Batman-based video games had a reputation, and it wasn't great. Some were okay, most were forgettable. But Rocksteady, they had a vision.
You're in this kind of dark universe where you're not entirely sure of anyone's motives.
From the very first cinematic, when I saw the picture, it became really clear just how dark this was going to be.
And what came next was none other than Batman Arkham Asylum.
It's over, Joker.
Over? Why, my dear delusional Dark Knight, it hasn't even begun.
Released in 2009, Arkham Asylum dropped right as Batman's popularity was peaking, thanks to Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. It was equally dark, gritty, and mature.
What was good for us is that obviously they have a sort of similar take, the sort of kind of mature, sort of quite a dark take on Batman. It's very sort of similar to the style that we've gone for.
But above all, it made you feel like Batman. The combat was simple, yet cinematic, brutal, yet rhythmic. The writing, penned by Paul Dini, the legend behind Batman the Animated Series. The voice cast, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Arlene Sorkin. Real Batman fans knew this was the dream team. The world was carefully woven, Metrovania-inspired, dripping with atmosphere. Even years later, Arkham Asylum holds up. It's tight, immersive, and respects the source material without being shackled by it. If you somehow never played it, do yourself a favor. Turn off the lights, crank up the volume, and become the damn Batman. The passion and authentic feel of Arkham Asylum made it a critical and commercial smash, selling over 2 million copies in its first year, and today is nearing 10 million. But that kind of success gets noticed. In 2010, Warner Bros. Acquired the majority in Rocksteady. They now effectively owned the studio and the Batman IP. On paper, it looked like a match made in heaven. So what could go wrong?
So, you know my name. Good. Because I know everything about you. Your darkest secret. Your ultimate weakness. I know you are Bruce Wayne.
2 years later, Rocksteady delivered Batman Arkham City, taking the DNA of Asylum and unleashing it in an open world. It was bigger and improved. It sold over 12 million copies. Critics called it a masterpiece. Fans called it the greatest superhero game of all time. But while Rocksteady was rising, Warner Bros. Was planting red flags. In 2011, the industry was at war with used games. And WB's answer: lock a small part of Arkham City, a playable Catwoman section behind an $8 VIP pass, unless you bought the game new. It felt anti-consumer, cheap, almost petty. And by 2013, another warning sign appeared. Batman Arkham Origins launched, but this one wasn't made by Rocksteady. It was developed by WB Games Montreal. While still a good game, Origins felt rushed and borrowing heavily from Arkham City's map. It was a prequel but felt like a glorified DLC. Maybe these were all signs that Warner Bros. Didn't just want to make great games. They wanted to squeeze them for revenue for as much as possible. But despite the noise, Rocksteady wasn't slowing down. By 2015, they returned with Batman Arkham Knight, a technical marvel. It pushed the PS4 and Xbox One to their limits. The Batmobile, the rain-slick streets of Gotham, a downright gorgeous world, even to today's standards. But the PC launch, a catastrophe. This is one of the worst PC ports I've ever seen. It's locked to 30 FPS and still runs like crap. It has constant stuttering and the most bare-bones options menu I have ever seen in a modern title. It was so broken that WB pulled it from digital shelves, one of the few AAA games in history to be removed from Steam post-release. Refunds were offered, patches came, and eventually it rebounded to very positive and even overwhelmingly positive on Steam. That's how strong the Rocksteady and Arkham brand was. But perhaps this was another sign. Maybe it was tight deadlines, maybe bad partnerships, maybe early signs of a studio pushed too far. Whatever it was, despite the misstep, Arkham Knight marked the end of a legendary trilogy, and it left Rocksteady on top of the industry. Under Hill, Walker, and team, they weren't just the guys who made Batman games. They were the guys you could trust to make anything great. At least players thought. As we have learned with studios like BioWare, even legends fall.
This is the end of the trilogy for us, but we've not thought too much about what's next. But I don't think we necessarily wouldn't do original IP at it either. I don't think there's a conscious decision to do that. But I think whatever it is, it needs to have that kind of richness, that that level of detail, that lore that that Batman has. So good luck finding that, I guess.
After Arkham Knight, Rocksteady went quiet. The trilogy was over, the fans were hungry, and speculation ran wild. A Nightwing solo game, Catwoman, maybe even Superman or Wonder Woman. The timing couldn't be better. DC was trying to build its own cinematic universe to rival Marvel's. This was the moment to expand the Arkhamverse and build something bigger. But nothing happened, if not for some teases. Be patient, fans. I know we are not talking right now, but when we do, people are going to lose their minds. So while Rocksteady remained silent, WB was pushing hard into gaming. Injustice, Shadow of Mordor, Mortal Kombat, even Batman Arkham VR for whatever reason. But more than their games, it was WB business practices that raised eyebrows, and not in a good way. In 2014, Warner Bros. Was caught quietly and secretly paying influencers, including PewDiePie, thousands of dollars to promote Shadow of Mordor positively, without disclosing it. And although it was quite well received, not needing that promotion at all, it was deceptive, it was unethical, and eventually it led to a formal settlement with the FTC. But it didn't stop there. In 2017, Warner Bros. And Monolith released Shadow of War, and despite being a single-player game experience, it was riddled with micro-transactions and predatory loot boxes. The devs attempted to explain this brilliant new concept, but not to a great success.
Yeah, so the gold war chest and of course the gold loot chest fundamentally work in the same way, just larger and with some increasing sort of levels of rarity of what you can guarantee you're going to find in them, and they are the ones that you can purchase using the premium currency, so you can purchase gold.
This is pathetic, embarrassing, laughable. Why is this RNG loot box unlock system any better than something that isn't random? This is the same shit we have seen in hundreds of games already. Monolith later admitted that this did affect gameplay. Loot boxes and the marketplace were subsequently removed with a letter that felt almost apologetic. And when people thought it couldn't get worse, Warner Bros. Did the unthinkable. They patented the Nemesis system, a dynamic AI mechanic that made Shadow of War stand out. A system where enemies remembered your actions, climbed ranks and created emergent rivalries. It was innovative, it was beloved, and now it was off-limits to everyone else. They were going full anti-consumer, anti-competitive, and unapologetically corporate. And while they doubled down on monetization and control, Rocksteady finally made their move. August 22nd, the date was set, the moment fans had waited for, the reveal of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh, look, it's Superman! The mighty Superman has just rescued that pilot!
What a show-off. Beat it, Spandex! We're on a top-secret assassination mission here!
No.
Millions tuned in, the like ratio strong, the comments overflowing with excitement. For a brief moment, it felt like the magic was back. 5 years had passed since Arkham Knight, hype had been built up, and the premise, although disappointing for not being a Superman game, was still exciting. And best of all, Batman was back, voiced one final time by the late, great Kevin Conroy. For a fleeting moment, it felt right, but behind the scenes, things were very different.
I found a female crying in the bathroom because a man who, despite her telling him not to, was groping her repeatedly, sending her messages in the evening, and when he was drunk he would start to fabricate stories that he was in fact sleeping with her to other colleagues.
Between 2018 and 2020, Rocksteady faced internal turmoil. Like many major studios around this time, allegations began to surface involving misconduct towards female employees and other minorities. A letter alleged that concerns had been ignored for years. Rocksteady swiftly responded in 2020 with a public statement to The Guardian, claiming that we are more passionate than ever to continue to develop our inclusive culture, and we are determined to stand up for all of our staff. The controversy came and went, and just when things seemed to stabilize, the delays began. In 2022, Sefton Hill broke the news. We have made the difficult decision to delay Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League to spring 2023. I know a delay is frustrating, but that time is going into making the best game we can. Delays can be a good thing. Sometimes more time means a better product. But then came 2023 and the first real gameplay reveal. And with it, those dreaded words: live service, always online, co-op.
Incoming, Holly! Out of my way.
Guess Quinn ain't holding anything back for later.
The positive sentiment died faster than a Suicide Squad member without plot armor. Gravity looking very optional in this game. There's absolutely no way this game was made by the same people who made Arkham Knight. I wouldn't be surprised if the Penguin starts speeding around, jumping whole buildings with a pink trail behind. Gone was the dark, gritty, story-driven single-player Arkham experience. In its place, a quirky looter-shooter, bullet sponge bosses with UI elements and effects flying off anything and everything. So what exactly happened? Didn't Rocksteady get the memo that this style of games was doomed to fail? Anthem, Marvel's Avengers, Redfall, even Gotham Knights, all live service experiments, all massive flops, all made by studios known for narrative-driven single-player games. So why did Rocksteady follow the same path? You see, originally, Suicide Squad was in development at WB Games Montreal, but wasn't working out. After the financial success of the Suicide Squad film in 2016, and before live service failures became clear, WB wanted in. This was the age of Overwatch, Destiny, and Fortnite. Live service games were printing a lot of money, so the Montreal project was scrapped, and WB handed the reins to Rocksteady, while the Montreal team worked on Gotham Knights. According to a Bloomberg report, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker were excited to tackle a new DC property, aiming for a 2020 release. But then, WB executives stepped in. They pitched a live service vision, calling it the future of gaming, and Rocksteady's own internal executives, names unknown, agreed, becoming the online multiplayer game with live service content we now know. As the failures of similar games rolled in over the next few years, came the ultimate final blow. Sefton Hill and Jimmy Walker left the studio. Just months after the first delay, they announced their departure to start a new studio, 100 Star Games, leaving Rocksteady on fire. By April 2023, yet another delay, now pushing the game to February 2024. Gamers attempted to provide feedback, like removing its looter-shooter RPG mechanics, the live service elements, and to make each character more unique as opposed to just gun-wielding maniacs. But it was too late. Rocksteady only conceded on one piece of feedback, adding an offline mode post-launch. Confidence was then fading fast, inside and out. That same Bloomberg report then painted a very dark picture. A culture of toxic positivity had overtaken the studio. Criticism wasn't welcome, doubts were dismissed. The creative vision had shifted from melee-focused combat to third-person gameplay, completely revamping the game. Team members waited weeks, sometimes months, for Sefton Hill, while he was still the studio lead, to approve even small changes. Entire chunks of the script were scrapped and rewritten. Vehicles were added, then removed. The leadership kept reassuring the team it would all come together, just like Arkham had. But this wasn't Arkham. It was hell on Earth, and not the fun kind. As for WB, they still believed it could be a billion-dollar franchise. So the development continued, but the developers, they knew better. With its creative heads gone and player trust shattered, Rocksteady was now speeding towards one of the most catastrophic launches in modern gaming history. January 2024, a month before release. Even more red flags. Press previews were handed out to gaming outlets, and even they were negative, including IGN's. We played it and didn't like it. Things were looking grim. On January 29th, early access was set to begin for users who paid $100 for the deluxe edition. As for review copies, extremely limited. Even the biggest outlets and creators were completely left in the dark.
There's an early access period that is out in
early access will be open.
6 days. 6 days if you buy like the premium version of this. And I don't know anyone who has a review code for it.
No, me neither.
Early access gamers were going in blind. But just 1 hour after launch, the servers went offline. The problem? Well, the game auto-completed the story upon login. Rocksteady quickly issued an apology while their engineers scrambled to fix the issues. But the players were furious, at least the 7,000 people who were actually playing it on Steam. By release day, Steam numbers barely doubled, and reviews across the board mixed to negative.
But I'm not only going to be disappointed, but I'm also going to be frustrated. Frustrated that 14 years after this genre emerged, it feels like every single release is repeating the exact same mistakes. Frustrated that $100 doesn't even buy you a complete skin on the cash shop. But more than anything else, frustrated that this genre and this business model has claimed yet another scalp. 9 years for Rocksteady to follow up on one of the most seminal trilogies in the history of video games, and this is what we got.
Ultimately, the story of Suicide Squad is quite tragic. Rocksteady took a gamble at a new model and didn't pan out. Development hell, leadership shakeups, and lack of vision left the devs scrambling to stitch together a functioning product. But some few did enjoy it for what it was, saying, "People who hate this game are dramatic. It's not the best thing ever, but it's generally just not that bad. Don't pay full price though." But that didn't stop the internet from blasting all of its major issues. From graphical downgrades when comparing with Arkham Knight, to poor out-of-place writing and character design.
Tell me about it. Wasn't expecting you to come in fun size.
What the fuck? To the blatant disrespect for the Arkham legacy.
You always gotta end on your best joke.
Even if Kevin Conroy hadn't passed away, this still would have been the most disrespectful way to send off Arkham Batman. This is how it happened. This is how Rocksteady Studios died. Some blamed DEI, pointing fingers at Sweet Baby for its failure. Others purely on its live service model. The rest just on plain mismanagement by both WB and Rocksteady. In the end, the issues were all of the above. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, in turn caused WB to bleed, reaching a $200 million loss. To put that into perspective, that's more than the budget of the Suicide Squad film in 2016, resulting in a 41% year-over-year revenue drop for WB. But instead of shifting gears, Rocksteady stayed the course. They slashed the price by 90%, then dropped their first DLC, Season of the Joker, resulting in an amazing 3,000 player peak with outlets labeling it as unbelievably bad, void of content, and a mountain of grinding, and a complete lack of story. Players framed it as making Jared Leto Joker no longer the worst Joker in recent memory.
Put it in me. Bloody hell!
Season 2 somehow did even worse.
There's also this one where you can actually wear a trash bag. It's gotta be one of the most unappealing and just offensive to the eyes outfits I've ever seen as a paid cosmetic. Bear in mind, this costs $10.
By the time Season 3 launched, the game couldn't even break 300 players on Steam. By the end of 2024, multiple layoffs followed the game's and DLC failure. By early 2025, the live service was dead. Offline mode was finally added, but by then, the damage was irreversible. As a send-off, none of it mattered. All Justice League characters, including Batman, happened to be clones. It was all a bad dream, a $70 grindy fever dream. The fall of Rocksteady echoes a familiar tale, one we have seen before with studios like BioWare, tragic and honestly depressing. And while Rocksteady still technically exists, with rumors of a Batman Beyond sequel, just like BioWare, the Ship of Theseus question applies. If most of the original talent is gone, is it even Rocksteady anymore? As of now, co-founders Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, with their new studio, 100 Star Games, have recruited over 100 industry veterans, many from Rocksteady. Failure often teaches more than success ever could, especially now away from AAA bureaucracy and red tape. So maybe, just maybe, even without the DC Comics IP, there's still hope. As for WB, they went on to cancel a Wonder Woman project made by Monolith, Shadow of War devs, shutting down their studio and doubling down on live service games despite the amazing reception of Hogwarts Legacy, a single-player game. But that's a story for another time. Thank you for watching and for all of the support. Make sure to check out the links in my description like Gamer Subs or my Patreon if you want to keep supporting videos just like this. And happy gaming.